Jesus Christ, Sarah!
Do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
Oh, hey, Internet, and welcome back to the Intoxicated podcast. This is attempt number 2 at an intro because yet again, Sarah was recording on the wrong mic, poured her heart out, only to find out I was not recording on the right mic. So here we go again, guys. Welcome back to the show. If you are a new listener to this podcast, this is a drinking podcast mixed with friendship, mixed with life. So this is a show where I have my friends on and we talk about life over a couple drinks. And happy day after Valentine's Day for everybody listening on Thursday. As I'm recording right now, I'm actually just getting back from a singles night out at a bar where I went with a couple friends. And honestly, it was a lot of fun. It didn't go the way I think all of us had planned. I think in our minds, we were like, we're going to go to this bar and we're going to meet guys and we're really going to get ourselves out there. Instead, we just sat in a corner and talked to each other. But listen, it's the fact that we went in the first place that matters, right? So welcome to the show, guys. This week, I have a very special episode coming your way. It is with my friend Heather, who is one of my very, very best friends. Heather is one of my ride or dies. She will be a bridesmaid in my non-existent wedding that is happening. I'd also probably call her if I had a body to bury and, you know, all of that. Heather and I actually met in college, and we have been great friends ever since. She's actually in a different city than me. She is in Ottawa and I'm in Halifax, and she was visiting. So during her visit, we had the chance to sit down and do this episode. Now, on this episode, we talk a lot about our friendship, the different facets of it, and our dynamic, which is really, really fun. We tell a couple of really funny stories, but then we get a little more serious. And what we talk about is actually fertility issues. Heather and her husband, Mike, have been through a lot. Heather's experienced all of it. She has experienced having difficulty getting pregnant, and she's also experienced being pregnant and losing that pregnancy, which is probably the most intense thing to go through as a woman. Now, for this, I will say, and I know Heather hates it when I get cheesy on her, but she is one of the strongest women I know, having been through all of this. She has a lot to say on the subject. So this is a very honest, unfiltered talk. Heather does not hold back with this. She does talk about a lot of aspects of this that I think people might not always even say out loud. It's kind of the things that you might think, but you don't feel comfortable saying. This is an uncomfortable subject. This is not an easy subject to talk about. But Heather was brave enough to come on, talk about her experiences, how she felt about it, where she is at now in her life dealing with all the things she experienced in regards to pregnancy, and sort of looking ahead at where it's going for her and Mike. So very powerful stuff. I gotta say, this is one of the stronger episodes I've ever done, just for the fact that it is a very enlightening episode, something that I think people will learn from. And I really, truly do hope that if you are listening to this and you are going through similar things, that you will feel less alone in this, and you will feel a bit better knowing that other people feel the same feelings as you. So there you go. So huge props to Heather for having the courage to come on and talk about this. This is not something that is easy to talk about, but she was able to do it, and I'm very, very proud of her for coming on and sharing her story. But there's also some fun things in here too. We talk a lot about our college days, our drunk memories that we have together, or non-memories, depending on how you want to look at it. We have a really awesome friendship, Heather and I. We still make it work despite being cities apart and being at really different phases in our life. One thing I think is really cool about this is the fact that we actually have different episodes on this podcast related to the idea of children. We do have episodes with pregnant women, and I have an episode all about vasectomies. That's episode 26, one of Mark's episodes, which is a great one, coming from a guy's point of view of choosing not to have kids. And now we're hearing about someone who really wants kids, but is having a really, really hard time with it. So I really like the idea of getting different perspectives on this issue. If you do have any feedback on the episode, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to the podcast on social media. That is Facebook and Instagram at Intoxicated Podcast, on Twitter at @in_toxicated. And you can send any feedback you want to our Gmail account, which is intoxicatedpodcast@gmail.com. As always, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you're brand new to Intoxicated, we have another channel hosted by my friend Corey, who does an amazing job over there, drinking and talking about movies and TV with his friends and different stand-up comedians. It's a lot of fun. In fact, they have a new episode out right now that was on fire. These guys were on fire in this episode. It is all about the air up there, and they killed it. So definitely go check out that episode. And get in touch with us if you have any feedback or comments. We would love to hear from you. So I'll get to the episode now, guys. Hope you enjoy this really awesome episode with Heather. This stuff is like, it looks like piss.
It's a Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc.
So hang on. Okay. We're officially recording right now. And I just want to say that Heather just poured us the biggest glasses of wine. And I went through all the work to make an ice bucket so that we could refresh our glasses, and now the ice bucket is pointless.
I'm sorry. I don't know how to do it any differently. A glass is meant to be filled.
I didn't want us to have to get up, so I went to make an ice bucket, and now that's pointless because we have the full bottle of wine in both of our glasses right now.
Let's see if this is worth the price tag.
That's right. So all of that being said, everybody, welcome back to the Intoxicated Podcast, and I have one of my best friends on right now. And finally, right before the year mark, she made it on. Look at that.
I know. I avoided it until now.
That's what everyone says. Every single close friend of mine is like, yeah, this is happening. Like,
listen, I had to fly from another province to come and be on this show, so you better appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. We didn't say what we're drinking.
But actually,
what is the wine that we're drinking? What's the name of the wine?
Oh, I'm going to totally mangle this. It is Baton Sauvignon Blanc from 2016. It was a very expensive bottle of wine that I feel is not worth the price. But I'll enjoy every drop.
It's more than double what I normally pay for my wine.
The lady at the NSLC upsold me hard. Like, I feel like she should go into marketing.
Maybe she will.
Well, she told me all about the mouthfeel of the wine, and I was just like, okay. Yeah, like how it would taste really good.
It's actually not that bad, but that said, it almost reminds me of those blue bottles of wine that I used to get when I was like in my early 20s.
Blue Nun.
Yes!
Yes.
Blue Nun!
I won't lie, I may be 34, but I still on occasion drink Blue Nun.
And it's just as good as this stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like one time I had the experience of trying Dom Perignon. And it tasted like Satan's arsehole. It was disgusting.
Arsehole.
I'm a newfie. I gotta say it that way.
So you are a new... Okay, so let's get into this, shall we? So Heather and I, friendship origin story. Back in the heydays of 2006...
Was it 2006?
100%.
Right, because we started in September of 2006.
Now, here's what's crazy about this. Like, I went to the Mount, which is a university here in Halifax. But my first year of university, I went to St. X.
In the niche.
I actually had gotten into the Mount and didn't go because I didn't want to move away from my boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And so I did a year at St. X, and then I did my second year starting at the Mount. So I transferred over.
Yeah, and I transferred over from Memorial University in Newfoundland with my first degree.
What if we both hadn't transferred? Like, how crazy is that to think about?
Yeah, but
we would never have met.
Yeah, but what ifs are pointless to me because
here we go. Here we go.
I just think that all you do is just circle in your head about what if this had happened, what if this happened. It just feeds into somebody's anxiety.
No, that's true. I was trying to make it more heartfelt.
Okay.
As what if you hadn't met? I was trying to make it heartfelt, okay?
I feel like it was meant to be that we were supposed to meet and that we were supposed to be friends and that the friendship lasted for the last decade. Because honestly...
Over a decade.
Yeah. Wait,
11 years. Oh, wait, no, 12 years.
No.
What year is it?
It's 2018.
12 years.
Listen, we did public relations. We didn't do math. Hang on.
12 years. I'm right. You're wrong.
All right. Yeah, fine. Okay.
'Cause-
Well, no, wait. I said over a decade. Or did I say 10 years?
You said decade.
Shit.
That's okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's only 2 years over. If you were rounding, it would be 10.
True.
So-
True. Okay, I'm still not
But
wrong.
over a decade of friendship.
Right.
But it was kind of serendipitous how we met, I think. Because it happened really randomly in a class.
So, yeah, we had our meet cute in a class.
Yes, we sure did.
Over coffee.
Over coffee. What was it? How was it just that we were both looked at each other and we were both like, holy fuck, we're tired. Like,
Yeah, it was, we
good
both,
thing we have coffee.
I'm pretty sure we both had the largest size coffee you could buy on campus at the time. And I just gave you like the wink and the nod as to, yeah, it's going to be a 3 coffee kind of day. And you were just like, I know. And then we just kind of snowballed from there.
That's exactly it. But there was another key thing that brought us together. It wasn't just coffee. It was also the Goo Goo Dolls.
The Goo Goo Dolls,
Because we met and we kept in touch. And
But
I
we
think
didn't keep
you
in touch
started
a whole lot.
But you started inviting me up to hang out at your room because we lived in the same res.
Yes. Well, you kept inviting me down to your floor, but I was uncomfortable because your floor was co-ed, I think, wasn't it?
No, none of our floors were co-ed back then.
No, a couple of them were, weren't they?
No way, I don't think so.
Oh.
Oh, maybe.
What floor were you on?
I was on an all-girl floor, and I think a couple floors up from me, there was an all-guys floor. So
But didn't all the guys come down to the room on the 4th floor to watch TV?
Yes.
And that's what
There was a lounge that we all used to gather at. It
Yes.
was like a gathering spot for a lot of us.
And my social anxiety just did not like that at all.
And what's crazy with this too is like I met a bunch of my really best friends, like really best friends.
Yeah. From somebody
Really
who...
I met a lot of my very best friends from the Mount because you and also Mary.
Yeah.
Like those are like 2 friendships that like have lasted ever since then. So that's pretty fucking cool.
I haven't spoken to Mary in years.
Damn it, I should have invited her over. She would have been good on this too. Yeah, so we started hanging out. Did we go to a Goo Goo Dolls concert together?
No, so what happened was because you are such a music obsessive person, or you were at the time, I think you went to the concert either by yourself or with people in a CC hall. Mm-hmm. And I got 2 tickets last minute, and I dragged Heidi with me, who was the person in the room next to me.
Yeah.
And I just really wanted to see the Goo Goo Dolls because I'd never seen them. They were on my top list of people I wanted to see.
Fuck yeah.
And I was just loving it. And somehow you were walking by and you saw us and you were just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the end of the concert, we ended up getting the bus back together. And I was like, I am fucking starving. I could eat a pizza. And you were like, pizza sounds pretty good. I was like, all right, let's go upstairs.
So
we'll order a pizza.
We met up after the concert.
We met up during the concert. We saw each other at the concert. And it was just another like connection. We both liked really good band. And then it was pizza, which I believe was the cement of the friendship bond.
So it was a combination of
Coffee.
Music. And 90s pop rock and
Pizza. Yeah.
And that cemented it. And then I think from then, me and Heidi were like a trio.
Yeah, we were.
We were like a trio at the Mount, and there was a lot of hanging out.
There was, yeah.
And the rest was fucking history. But then I think the other thing too is Grey's Anatomy.
Yes. Yes.
So, okay.
Did you know that I stopped watching it? I haven't seen past like the 4th season.
That's okay. I've stopped watching it too. But I will say, there's a scene in Grey's Anatomy.
Is this about the lost panties?
Yes, it's very... Yes!
Sorry.
No. The bell's a good thing.
Okay.
God. So loud. So much clipping. The bell, I still haven't explained to you what the bell is.
No, you haven't.
It's like if someone makes a really good point that you really agree with, or it's like if someone gets zanged, like if someone does a really good
like
burn,
bazinga,
or like a really good joke with a really good punchline.
So basically it's Pavlov's positive reinforcement.
There you go.
I want the bell to ring.
That's exactly it. Okay. But Grey's Anatomy. So there's a scene in Grey's Anatomy that when I watched that scene, it was then that I realized that I'm Meredith and you're Christina.
Yes.
And the scene is...
I might need a refresher on this because I remember some of it. But.
So it's Meredith Grey and Christina Yang in the kitchen.
Yes.
Spoiler alert for Grey's Anatomy. Holy shit. Fast forward like a minute because I'm about to spoil it. But it was
like 10 years ago.
Yeah, but still. People start watching shows and I don't want to spoil them. So spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. It was after Denny died.
Okay.
And they're there and like Meredith seems like kind of distracted and stuff. And then Christina just goes, "Oh, what did you do?"
Yes. Yes.
And that's when I realized honestly, that's our dynamic.
I'm pretty sure
I make bad life decisions and you're there to react to them.
Well, I'm pretty sure that in the last 12 years, I have texted, "Oh, what did you do?" Or I have said to you, "Oh, what did you do?" At least 100 times. Yeah. And then you either say I lost my panties
or something along those lines.
Or you tell me the truth of what actually happened.
I think there was one time that I texted you like, "I'm looking for nipple cream." And you were just like, "Why am I not surprised?"
Yeah, no, honestly, there's nothing you can text me anymore I feel that would shock me.
Yeah.
Like at this point, it's just...
Yeah. So that's kind of our dynamic. In a weird way. I kind of feel like...
I don't think it's weird.
I don't know if you agree with this, but I kind of feel like you are the devil and the angel on my shoulders. Like, yes. You're the perfect mix of both. Because you're not fully the devil, although you're probably more devil than most of my other friends.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I did one of those personality tests. Do you know what Machiavellianism is?
No.
It means that I would stab you in the back to get what I wanted without even blinking twice. Apparently, I'm like 65% Machiavellian, so I would agree that I'm a little bit more devil than I am angel.
Just slightly.
Yeah, like just a little bit. Like enough that if this was a weight measure, I would probably be fucked at the pearly gates.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
But...
I mean, I think I would be more fucked at the pearly gates than you, but I think, like, we would meet each other in the hotel bar, have a drink.
Yeah.
Like...
No, I agree.
Like we'll be hanging out in hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're hanging out in hell.
Yep.
But, what is... Okay, so I have a question for you.
42.
Oh.
I'm sorry, have you never read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? The answer to the universe, life itself, and everything?
Which is weird, because my favorite number, or one of my favorite numbers, is 41.
Oh, wow. You're just shy of having the answer to life.
That's something up! When Heather came over. Okay, there was a couple things Heather said when she came over today. One was, "Why does your floor feel like you pissed all over it?"
Well, because I hate the feeling of wet socks, and I walked into like a puddle. And now I have moist socks.
My fucking floors are so hard to clean, it's not even funny. Well, I don't understand what's wrong with them.
No, I'm sure that little bit of water and me slipping on my socks just scrubbed a little bit of extra dirt off for you. I love you because you don't hold back in calling me a piece of trash. I love that. Oh, you are my white trash friend. I understand that. I embrace it. I love it.
In fact, you used to always yell at me and call me a whore all the time.
Yeah, but you used to make me yell and call you a whore. I'm pretty sure there's video of evidence of me saying, "I don't want to do this, Sarah." And you call me a whore. And I was like, "Fine, you're a whore." And then
you don't get to call me a whore.
And then you
more Grey's Anatomy.
Cackle madly.
Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of good old drunk times in college. You and I actually, we met in res where we both had single rooms.
Yeah.
But then, I guess, second year at the Mail, but I guess technically our third year, we lived in an apartment together.
Yes, which was the worst decision of my life, and I regret it to this day. Not because of you.
Shit. No. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
So we lived, going back to our college trio, Heather, Hadi, and I, ended up living together in a, kind of like a dorm apartment. So it was like 4 apartments and a teeny tiny galley kitchen and like a decent sized living room. I think the living room was maybe about the same size as this living room, actually.
Yeah, it was just laid out differently, so it seemed a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And we always had somebody crushing on the couch. If it wasn't my boyfriend, it was... Oh, God, who was that guy that you were fucking?
Oh, I knew this was going to come up!
Was that it?
Yeah, leave that, Sarah, just in case.
Okay.
But I remember that day I actually had a guy over. And what's cool about this was after I had broken up with my long-term first boyfriend.
Yes.
And I was in the prime of new penis.
Yes, because you...
New penis. Bring it.
No, there wasn't very much bring it because you are so picky. I'm sorry, though.
Were?
You are.
I don't think I'm not picky.
You have a certain criteria.
I don't think I have any criteria.
Okay, well, let's do a comparison. Me versus you. If it had a penis, if it knew how to work it, and if it was even slightly interested in putting it in my vagina, I was for it. You.
What do I need?
You need at least some sort of emotional connection.
I don't agree.
You needed at least some sort of repertoire with them.
That I agree with.
Yeah. You also needed... Well, I realize I just sounded like a horrible whore.
No. Give it to me. Keep going.
No. I'm just thinking back to what I said. If it had a dick, I'd do it. Like, I was a whore. Okay. Self-revelation over.
Whore is not a bad thing, but we should clarify she was not getting paid.
No, not at all. But yeah, you had some good criteria. There had to be, and like they had to be...
I needed to talk to you and get like have a rapport. Like I needed to like you back then.
Yeah. Like you knew you needed your itch scratched, but you weren't willing to just go with anybody.
No.
Whereas I was very much willing, like, yeah, I'm okay with never talking to you again. Let's bam, goodbye, sir.
But the thing is like even back then, which was like early 20s, really early 20s, I didn't fucking know what good sex was. I didn't even know how to get good sex. Like, I would hook up with these guys and, like, it would just be like, yeah, that was bad. Shrug. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what happened. And, like, that night that guy stayed over, like, that was one of the first new people I had ever slept with. So
was that good sex?
No.
Oh.
But I think like, the reason it's not good is not always on one person.
No, it takes two to tango, as cliched as that sounds.
Yeah. You need to find the motion of the ocean.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't think we had that motion. I think we were just meant to be just friends, right?
Yeah.
And I think that in that time of my life, I was hooking up with a lot of friends.
Well, that's because you wanted to have that repertoire of people and you already had that base when you were talking to them and you were friends with them.
Yeah.
But then you took it to the extra step and then you immediately regretted it.
Uh-huh. So, another good story to tell about this at this time is before we lived together at the apartment, you did a work term in PEI.
I did, yeah. Uh-huh.
And... Okay.
Is this...
So there was one night, so we were both doing work terms. I was in Halifax and you were in PEI. And there was one day in particular that we were talking and we were like...
on MSN Messenger.
We both had gone on dates. Or like what we thought. Like
No.
I don't think mine was really a date. Yours was probably definitely
It was like we hardly talked. Like we maybe messaged each other on MSN every few days just to keep in touch. And you were just... It was like 3 days we hadn't talked. And you were like, what are you doing tonight? Do you want to have a phone date? And I was like, I can't, I have a date. And you were like, what? Yeah. And then my phone immediately rang and it was you. Yeah. And I got the fucking Spanish Inquisition. It was like, you have a date? Guess what? Guess what I did? I have a date. I met someone. And I was like...
and did I ever meet someone?
Yeah.
Because you met your now husband.
Yes.
And I met my ex.
Yes.
So... Very, very interesting that we both had met.
We had met them on the
same
night, I think.
Well, no, I had met him before that.
So did you?
But we were hanging out alone together.
Okay, so it was gonna be like quote unquote a date.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then
the wine. I don't know. Maybe it's just. I'm a gassy person.
I really hope that the mics picked that up.
You know what, Sarah? Go fuck yourself.
I want to end it with that.
Why are we friends?
Or I want to end it with a clip of you saying, Jesus Christ, Sarah! Because that's how you say it all the time.
Jesus Christ, Sarah.
Yeah, there it is.
What are you doing with your life?
Yep.
Okay,
but back to it. So you met your now husband. You met Mike. Yeah, and What was that like?
Honestly, he's a masochist because I was so rude to him that night. Like, I met up with my friend Amanda.
Yes, who's been on the show
a couple of times. And we had a weekly kind of, we'll go out for apps, have a beer. But we knew that we couldn't really go and get shit-faced because we had jobs. It was our first co-op. We were fucking fresh-faced and 23.
23!
23.
What an age.
I know. Oh, God, if I could only go back to then.
Was it 23? You were 23.
I was 23. You were considerably younger. I am much older than you.
You're not much older than me.
I am 4 years older than you.
That's not a lot.
There's a generation gap between us. Like, you toe the line on one side of the generation gap, and I toe the line on the other. Yes.
Touche.
No, I firmly believe that we are a generation gap apart, but we love each other so much that we make it work.
That's fair.
Okay, so I had met Amanda for drinks at this restaurant called Hunter's, and I was having a shitty day at work, and I was like, you know what, Amanda? I don't care if I'm going to go to work hungover tomorrow. We're going to order a pitcher of beer, and we're just going to let me get shit-faced.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. And I mean, Amanda, 90 pounds soaking wet, half a beer, and she's feeling it. So I drank the majority of that pitcher, and suddenly we're on the patio, and this guy walks up, and all I see is these arms, these super copper tanned looking arms that were just bulging with muscles. And I was just like, oh yeah, that does it for me. And he came right to our table. Like my heart was in my stomach at that point.
That kind of thing doesn't happen anymore. I just want to say.
No, honestly, I'm probably romanticizing it right now, but it was a little bit of like, you hear the Daydreamer song in the background and it's slow motion and there's a halo of light behind
Dreamweaver
him.
from
Dreamweaver. That's the song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dreamweaver.
Yeah, I'm not going to sing, but anyway. So then he comes over and he comes directly to our table and I'm like, and suddenly, the butterflies go to wariness and I'm like, what is this fucking weirdo doing? And he goes and he grabs the chair that's the empty chair at our table and he goes, can I take this chair, please? And I said, fuck off, go get your own chair. And then
even though you're, see, this is interesting about Heather. So when you like someone,
I am
you
really
will
mean.
put off the vibe that you fucking want them dead.
Yeah.
Like you do, and I'm the opposite. I'm like, anything you need? Anything at all?
Yeah, well, okay. I feign disinterest.
Yes. You pick on them.
I'm sassy.
You pick on them.
A little bit.
Yes, you do.
Well, you know what? Apparently he liked it enough to put a ring on it, so...
There you go.
So anyway, you could see his face falling, and I was like, oh, he's one of those people that can't handle that. Okay, I was like, oh, come back here, you asshole, and take the chair. And then he turned around and he gave me this shit-eating grin, and he just grabbed the chair with one hand, and I was like, yep, clean up on aisle 3. My panties are wet.
Damn. And did you? And you guys hung out for the rest of the night?
Well, what he did, I was expecting him to go down the end of the patio to another group of tables. And where did he fucking put the chair? But directly behind me at this table of like 5 or 6 20-something-year-old men. And I was like, oh, that's awkward. Because he's within listening distance and he's within eavesdropping distance. So how am I going to not just, ignore Amanda and just listen to what he's saying? Uh-huh. And also at the time there was another really cute guy at the table and I was debating whether or not I was going to hit on him too. So yeah, I'm a terrible person.
Is this a friend of Mike's?
Yeah, not anymore. Not anymore. No.
That's awkward.
It's a mutual person.
Breaking news on the podcast.
No, it's
the one that got away.
No, ew, no. It was a mutual friend, like hanging out with him as a group. Yeah. Anyway, so then he sits down and suddenly Amanda just jumped into the conversation at the table because they were talking about movies.
And rape scenes in movies. Right?
Rape scenes in movies.
I remember that.
And she got really involved and really interested in it. And at 23, I didn't have much of an opinion on rape scenes in movies. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I still don't have an opinion on it. And I'm okay with that. But like maybe 4 of the people at the table were involved in the conversation going back and forth. And I think at the time it was, oh, there's a girl just interrupting us. and it's a girl.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
let's
yeah,
listen
yeah.
and let's involve ourselves. And I just sat back and I get this tap on my shoulder and it's this guy with the arms. And he's like, so how do you feel about the Blue Jays? And I was like, you know what? A lot better than I feel about rape scenes in movies. So we turned around and the two of us started talking.
Oh my God. Rape scenes in movies brought you guys together.
That is so fucking cringy to think about it. I'm pretty sure that got edited out in the how we met story at our wedding.
And so you were together. Okay. And the thing is too is like we're giving you a very brief snapshot of this.
He proposed to me 2 weeks later. I shit you not. We were drinking at the same bar. He looked at me and he said, I'm drunk enough that I want to get on one knee and ask you to marry me. And I said, I'm drunk enough that I would say yes. And then he said, but we can't do that. I said, no. I said, but you can certainly put a ring away for me. And then the next day he went to Charms and he texted me a link to the Charms website. And I was like, yep, that's the one. And I'm thinking he's not going to do it. He's just bluffing. And then the next day, he's like, oh, yeah, I put that ring on layaway. And I was like, shut the fuck up. No, you didn't.
Are you shitting me right now?
No, I'm not shitting you.
I never knew this.
He waited 9 months. We were together. We got together in June. He proposed in March. March 23rd is when he proposed.
I was going to say, I was trying to remember how long you were together before the official engagement happened. Because
9
I remember
months.
you telling me about an engagement. It was not 2 weeks in, though. Because I hadn't met Mike then.
No, nobody had met him.
But you had told me before the official engagement we're probably getting married or like we're getting married.
No, before the official engagement I said he's the one.
Yeah.
I'm done looking. He's it for me. I'm going to introduce him to my mother. Because I'd never introduced my mother.
That's the telltale.
No, yes, that was what my mom always used to ask me. She was like, why do you never bring home any of your boyfriends? Right. She's like, I know that you're dating.
Interesting.
You know, but why don't I ever meet any of them? She's like, I meet your guy friends, but none of your boyfriends. And I looked at her, I said, Mom, the first guy you meet is the one I'm going to marry. And the first guy she met was Mike.
And so what about him made you realize, like, this is it?
Honestly, I can't put it into words.
Aww.
It was just a feeling. It was like...
You were mega, mega happy. Even like we had gone up to visit that summer that you were living in PI.
Yeah.
And like we had met him for the first time and like we were just like, oh man, she's
happy
as shit.
Yeah, we were in the honeymoon phase too and we were fucking like bunnies at that point too. Yeah. And it was just like, I couldn't get enough of him. He couldn't get enough of me. But even now, like, even though that part of the relationship kind of quiets down a bit, I still wouldn't trade him for anything in the world.
I'll never. You know what true romance is? You know what true romance is, everyone?
What?
When you put on some lingerie to go bang your boyfriend in the transport truck.
Oh my gosh! I forgot about that! I came home to the apartment and you guys thought I was high as a kite because my eyes were so bloody red. And it's because he had done me so well that I was screaming so loud I burst blood vessels in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. And you were blotchy and glowy. Yeah. And it was like it was the only type of glow that would happen after sex.
Yes, of course. Mike, if you ever listen to this podcast, I am so sorry, sweetheart.
We love you, Mike. And you guys got married. So you got engaged and
I couldn't.
Let's talk about the wedding.
Yeah, well, we had to wait until I graduated from school because my mother would have like fucking had kittens, you know. So we waited until.
I feel like so much of like a couple's decision
is based upon what their parents.
The family, yeah.
His family didn't fucking care, they were just happy he found somebody who could put up with him, and they were just like, keep her. She's the one. She's a keeper. Put a ring on it. Good. You're taken care of. Goodbye. Yeah. But my mother was like, you better fucking finish school because if you get married and then you quit school or you pop out a baby or something happens, I want to make sure you have your education. And I was like, okay, Mom. So I graduated in October and then we had the wedding in July of that year.
And who did you pick for bridesmaids?
Well, you were one of them.
Not away.
No, you were originally.
What do you have to say for yourself?
I regret asking a certain individual to be my bridesmaids from the get-go. It was more of a nostalgic decision.
So here's the thing. At that time,
yeah,
I would have considered you like one of my best friends.
At the time, Are we not considering you not considering?
Oh, no, you're 100% still one of my best friends. You're in the wedding party.
Fucking right.
For the non-existent wedding that's happening.
Of course.
But at that time, like, I think that was a peak of our friendship because we were together. Like, you've been moved away from me for a long time.
8 years. I've been away for 8 years.
So, like, you scared me there. I'm like, you're still my best friend. Don't worry.
Good. Don't make me cry. I'll, like, fucking table flip and walk out. But,
like, I was really wanting to be in your wedding. But so then Heather's like, I need to ask this other person based on years known, and you're my secret maid of honor, is what she told me.
My secret maid of honor. Although
I believe in this. I think everyone should have this.
Yes.
If there's someone that you're really close with that for whatever reason, you can't put in the wedding, you just call them your secret maid of honor.
Or like if you have a family member that you need to have as your maid of honor, and you know that there's somebody else that, like, I love my sister, but I was closer to other people.
I never understood that.
Yeah, but
you have obligation to put your
but you have two sisters, so there's not that just only one choice. Like,
I wouldn't put it. Okay, love you, Mary and Jane. If you ever find out about this show and listen, I'm sorry, but it's my girlfriends are who's going to be my maid of honors, like, or my bridesmaids.
Yes,
like,
of course.
Like,
well, I mean, one of my
that's
girlfriends.
Just me, but you're also close with your sister, whereas I'm not. So I'm
close-ish with her, but I mean, if I was given the choice without the familial obligation portion of it, I probably wouldn't have chosen her as my maid of honor. She would have definitely been a bridesmaid, no doubt about it, but I don't think she would have been my maid of honor.
There's an obligation
there. But in the same sense, she was able to take that pressure off of me, because how do you choose between four women who have been your friends in either one portion of your life through all of it, or one, like, you have been my best friend since the Mount. Yeah. That's only one part of my life, though.
Right.
I have
you have childhood friends.
I have 2 childhood friends. I have a friend that I met in that I knew all my life, but we only became really close in high school.
Right.
And then there was you who was in university. Yeah. You know, like, how do you say you are more important to me than these 3 other women?
It's so true, and I always fucking think about it.
Yeah.
And it must be so fucking hard. Because especially when you're someone who does have a lot of girlfriends. And a lot of, like, it's hard for me to say, like, this is my best friend. Like, I have so many best friends.
Oh, I do the same thing.
You know, like
my mother looked at me
one.
and she was like, how can you say that all of these women are your best friends? I was like, how can I not say that they're all my best friends? Because for me to put one below the other, sometimes we don't talk for months, and sometimes I don't see you for over a year.
There's a lot of times we don't talk.
But then when we do, it's like all of the months just melt away, and it's just like we were back in a CC hall, just sitting down, just... You know, it's...
And usually it involves some sort of epic phone date or epic... Like, when me and Heather go weeks and weeks and weeks without talking, and then we finally talk...
and months.
Yeah, we have. I mean, we both have very different lives, and we're not in the same city, so it's tough. But when we do actually end up talking, it's always fucking epic. Because we're like, hey, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Yeah. This is my life right now.
I feel
What's new with you?
Yeah, I feel like if you talk to somebody too often, it leaves only like the, hey, how's the weather down in Halifax? And you're just like,
day-to-day.
Pardon me while I slit my wrists while I have this really mundane conversation.
That's very true.
But if you wait enough time and you're comfortable enough with that person, then you can just talk your heart out.
It's so true. And there's no love lost at all, because we both understand that
we are adults, we have lives, we have responsibilities.
Very different lives.
Yeah, that's okay.
Like, kind of, we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
But we lead different lives.
Very different lives, yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm all like...
There's nothing wrong with that.
Full-time job with my pension and my dental and health benefits. And
I'm all struggling to stay alive.
You're still kind of living that little bit of that college girl life, you know? No, like, you pay your bills, you do all that, but in the sense that, you know, you still might have to eat ramen every now and then.
It's in my cupboard.
Actually, you know what? I can't say anything about that because I love ramen.
It's delicious.
Like, I could go out and buy a steak, but I fucking love ramen, so.
Well, we have very honest and unfiltered, and we have a friendship that's like, I have a lot of friends, but not all friends would help me bury a body.
I would, yeah. I'd probably help you kill the person. I remember that I remember that conversation that we had over texting, and you were so fed up with your life at the time, and you were like, you know what? I'm just going to turn to dealing drugs, or I'm going to become a prostitute of some sort. And I remember texting you back and be like, that's cool. Make sure you buy a gun. And you were just like, wait, what? And I was like,
that's what I mean by... I
was like, you.
You're kind of more the devil than the angel. But you are not one... So, okay, here's the thing with Heather. And, like, I'll generalize this because there's too many situations to fucking even bring up. But, like, if I text you something that's like, hey, this thing happened, I don't know what the fuck to do, and I can't really talk to anyone else about this. What, like, I'm just letting you know that this thing happened. I just need to rant right now. Like, you are someone who's like, you will instantly go to the, oh my God, tell me more. But then you'll give me the actual, well, I don't think, like, you give advice. You give me both.
I give you the unfiltered, brutally honest adult opinion.
You do.
But in the same sense, I'm still that 23-year-old girl that used to get drunk by your side and make really poor life decisions with you. And I'm like, you go, girl.
You live kind of vicariously.
I live horrendously vicariously through you.
Because I think...
I stopped dating a year after we became friends.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to still enjoy all of those aspects, and I was done with that. And I won't lie, I love my husband, but I live vicariously through you when you meet these boys. Men, boys, whatever.
I mean, they're mostly boys.
Yeah, that's okay.
But,
you can be a cougar.
But you are like, telling me the details. Like, you are the details friend. Like,
yeah, like
no detail is unsaid.
Yeah, like I want to know what he say, when did he say it, what was his intonation, what was he wearing, what was the scene, what was the atmosphere, what were you drinking?
What did things taste like?
Honestly, I come from a literary background. I need to know these things so that in my mind I can picture it perfectly until it gets to the P and V portion, and then I want to bleach my eyes.
I mean, nah.
Sarah, I can say with 100% certainty that I don't want to think about you having sex with somebody.
But I think with you like hearing about it, but as soon as you picture it as me doing that, that's when it gets weird for you.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
probably.
You like talking about the details in a general sense, but not so much like picturing it as me doing it.
Yeah,
which is
unless it's certain instances where the comedic value of it is higher than the gross out value, like certain individuals who are having performance issues or nearly passing out because of said issues that I won't go into specific.
You mean that time that fuck. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Somebody who needed a juice box.
Oh, that one. I was thinking of a different person.
Because, they went a little hypoglycemic in the middle of the session.
And here's the thing about that. So we had a mutual friend that I banged. This was weird because I feel like if you and I were to have ever had... This is getting real here.
Oh, you mean
together?
Oh,
it would have been him.
Yeah, totally. Because we had this conversation where he admitted it.
Say what he said. Say what he said.
If he could put my brain in your body, it would be the perfect woman.
So that's insulting on many levels for both of us.
Well, yes, because I am a large woman. I embrace my curves. I have a healthy sex life, even when I didn't have my husband.
You have more sex than I do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. But even before I met my husband and I was picking up at the bars, I was still a really curvaceous woman. And I didn't think that held me back at all. I was like, you know what? I am hot and I can get what I want.
And that's why I love you.
And, for this man to look at me and say that, like your personality, your intelligence, your wit, your sass, like it turns me on, but your body repulses me. Like for me,
I don't know if it was a repulse thing.
I don't know.
I don't know about that, but I think that
it's what it came across.
Who did he say that to? Did he say that to both of us? In person? I don't remember.
No, he said it to both of us at separate times. Because you called me and you were so mad. You're like, do you know what he said? And I was like, honestly, he said it to me before. And you were like, what the fuck? you were like 2 seconds away from flipping a table or just walking down to his house and being like, listen here, you douchebag.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was insulted too because
Well, yeah, no, I agree.
Because it's like, yeah, it's nice to be considered hot or like you're attracted to me, but like, hey, guess what? I do have a brain. Like, I do have a personality.
No, exactly.
I don't fucking lack personality.
No.
Like, when you think of me, do you think, oh, this girl who doesn't have a personality? Like,
that's not what comes to mind. No.
So yeah, that was interesting. But I ended up having sex with him.
It was terrible in the sense because we became really good friends really fast.
Did we get in a fight because of that?
You and you were a little miffed by it, but I wouldn't say we got into a fight. And
describe our fights. Our fights are interesting. We
haven't had a fight in a really long time.
But we fight good.
We do.
We do fight good. You know what I mean by that? Like, if we have a disagreement,
we talk it out.
No, there'll be a couple days of nothing.
Yeah, but then we'll talk it out.
We do always talk it out.
Yeah, because I refuse to be that person who lets things lie. So I'm that annoying little fucker that's like, poke.
Yeah,
hey,
no, I am
too.
But I think that's why it's good, because we're both like that.
But you still do need a cooling off period.
Oh, hell yeah, I do.
I'm very much in agreement with that, but yeah. Yeah, so back to this guy, because I want to talk about this guy.
Yes! Let's talk
because this bugged me so much.
Mm-hmm.
We became really close friends after you guys had fucked and that had died a horrible death.
Disclaimer. This was a perfect example of sexual tension was better than the actual sex.
That was so disappointing for me who would live vicariously through you. I was like, damn.
Yeah, it just wasn't. There was no chemistry. And what's weird is like we had both thought this is going to be so much chemistry
because the build up. I remember the build up was for months because you were just telling me, and I was like, the anticipation is killing me. You just need to bounce on that, please, dear God.
Yeah. We would like talk on like MSN.
Yeah,
like
this was like back in the MSN days.
Yeah,
he and I were. Mike was out. He was a long haul truck driver, and you know. This guy would be like, hey, do you want to come over and watch some TV? Do you just want to hang? And I was like, yes, that'd be great. Mm-hmm. And to me, he had this persona of intelligence and culture and just
confidence too.
Confidence.
In a weird way though.
Yeah, he came across as haughty, like haughty-dotty to me a little bit. But in the sense that he felt like I was his equal, and it was really flattering.
And boy knew how to talk.
He did. He was really eloquent. Yeah. And so he was like, do you want to come over and hang out? And I was like, yeah. So then this was over the summer when we were just like doing courses. Like we would have those few weeks of really intense courses, but then we'd have like 3 weeks of bird courses. And during those times, I would be over at his apartment every night, and we'd just be watching Family Guy, chilling out, hanging out, doing.
You were with Mike at this point.
I was with Mike at this point.
Let's make that clear.
No. There was no romantic feelings for my end.
No,
like,
it was a companionship.
Yeah, like
it was a companionship.
He was a companion in the sense that he matched me mentally. Yeah. I found him attractive, yeah, I won't lie, and I liked the attention that I got from him. Like, he did flirt a little bit. But suddenly, at the end of that summer, he fucking ghosted me.
Yeah.
There was nothing. It was suddenly, we were no longer talking. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get in touch with him. But I think at that point, he ghosted a lot of us.
Yeah, it just kind of fell off.
It just fell off. Like, and then suddenly, you know, he's got a wife and kids a year later. And I'm just like, what?
Isn't that fucked?
A little bit.
But closure is nice, even when it is with friendships. It's like, even with a friendship, it's good to get that closure of like, okay,
what the fuck happened?
Here's like what's going on here. Like, let's either be on good terms or not be on good terms.
Yeah.
Like, it's a blessing in a way.
Well, it's like, you know how you were talking about back in the day when it was the three of us, you, me, and Heidi. Heidi and I had a horrendous falling out. So,
can you give the general reason why there was a falling out there?
Partly it was my fault, partly it was her fault.
I even forget.
So I started dating Mike, and I dropped people. Like, I'd given her so much attention. I'd given you so much attention. I was the mother hen for that first year because I was 4 years older than all of you. And
you were like the mom figure.
Yeah, I was the person, like, yeah, I got drunk with you, but I also took care of you guys more than what a normal friend would do. And then suddenly my attention was just 95% this
true.
boy.
And this happens a lot with friendships.
And it does.
And oddly enough, like, I had a falling out with my friend Shannon, who, go back to our episode Makeup, Breakups, and Camgirling, because we talk about our fight, which happened because she was dating a serious boyfriend.
Yeah.
And this happens a lot with female friendships.
Oh, honestly,
as soon
it's
as
9
someone
times
gets a
out of 10.
boyfriend, it's
them and only them.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge to stay friends and, like, keep that friendship going.
And honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that you were in Annie Ganesh during the height.
Yes, I was in Annie Ganesh when you got engaged. I remember it. I remember getting the phone call.
Yeah, you were in Annie Ganesh during the height of my relationship with Mike. So, like, we were already long distance friends, quote unquote.
We were, yeah.
So it wasn't...
LDR.
We survived it.
We survived. We did.
Yeah, but she didn't like it. The attention that I was no longer giving her. And then because I was no longer giving her the attention that she deserved, like, that's how I've dropped the ball on it. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of shit happened in my personal life that I just...
Right.
Like...
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I got pregnant. And I remember just being like, I am 23 years old and I am pregnant. And then...
Not done school yet.
I'm not done school. I'm not the type of person who could ever have an abortion. I am pro-choice, but my choice would be to never do it.
Right.
You know, and it was just like, for 2 days, I sat there in a daze thinking about it. It was, what am I going to do? I'm going to be a mother. And then I miscarried.
Right.
And suddenly that choice was no longer available to me.
Right. It just happened.
It just happened. And I mean, you know, I'd only been pregnant for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I was just long enough for me to start getting some symptoms.
Yeah.
And then I tried to explain to Heidi and our other roommate at the time, the reason that I was staying at my brother's house because he lived in Halifax and I stayed at his house for 3
weeks. You were gone for, like, most of it. Like,
3 weeks straight.
There was a period of, like, living in that apartment together where, like, Heather was, like, never there. And the thing is, like, you can take that as a you thing. Yeah. Or you can step away from that and be like, she's going through something.
And I needed my family. Like, my brother at the time, he understood what I was going through. Right. And he was just like, listen, if you need to take a break from... Because I was on a work term, so I didn't have class. It was just get up, go to work, come home. And he was just like, if you need to take a break from campus and to deal with this with you and Mike, you guys can live with us for as long as you like until whenever. And I was like, I'm already paying for this apartment. He's like, it's already paid for. This house is free. Just come and stay and hang out with us. Yeah, you'd be
paying for it either way.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, is like, you gotta understand, like, this was a college dorm 4-bedroom.
Yeah.
So it was 4 big, and I would say big in different ways, but big personalities.
Yeah.
In one little space when you're going through this, like, traumatic thing.
But you weren't even there. You had moved out. So that was an empty spell.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was
just me and Heidi and our other roommate.
And I was getting... I was in this phase of being the person in the middle because I was friends with both of you.
Yeah.
And so I was getting her messages, being like, I don't know what's going on with Heather, what's going on here? And then I was getting your messages.
Oh my God, my life is over. What's going on? And then
I just told her that you got pregnant?
Yeah, I explained it to her and her response was, this isn't a competition of whose life is worse. And then that was the anvil. That was the hammer on the anvil breaking the chain. And I said, you know what? You're not going to understand my reasoning. You're not going to listen to it. And I'm not going to try and explain myself anymore. Yeah. And we didn't talk for 5 years.
It was a moment. It was a friendship defining moment.
It was.
That changed kind of everything. And changed our dynamic completely as friends.
If Heidi had been a man, we would have been breaking up at that point.
Yeah. Friendship breakups are fucking real. Like, let me damn tell. Like, I've had a lot of really epic ones. Yeah. And they're damn real.
They are.
And
they feel like
just as bad.
As if you were breaking up with somebody that you are in a relationship with. And it is a relationship. Mm-hmm. Except it's just 100%. A non-sexual relationship. It's a relationship that you're having strong emotional feelings for. You know. Yeah. But it's different in its own way, but it's so similar.
So similar. And so, you're now married. Yeah. You've been married to Mike for how long?
7 years.
Right. And, update, I did get to be a bridesmaid in Heather's wedding, and it was a lot of fun.
Yes, that was such a good night.
So,
you and I got so sweaty.
So much sweat. And so back to like the kids thing.
Yeah.
Did you know when you married Mike that you wanted to have like kids with him? Like,
I knew before I even married Mike.
You wanted to be a mom. You've always wanted to be a
Everybody
mom.
told me, they were like, you're such a mom person.
Because you are. It's so true.
I won award. I went to this, not exchange, but my university memorial had a campus in England, and it was 30 of us. And at the end of that semester, everybody got an award for like, what was their personality quirk? Like, you know, most personable, most OCD, you know, most reclusive. And I got the mom award. And everybody was like, yep, you're the one taking care of me when I'm throwing up in the bathroom because I drank too many pints. And I was like, yes, that's me. I just have a very caring personality.
You do.
And I wanted to have a fucking baseball team full of kids.
And when you got married to Mike, did you guys start trying right away?
Was there a goal within that year, within that first year, we started trying. And when I say we started trying, I mean there was only 1 week of the month that we weren't having sex. It was the most sex I've ever had in my entire life, even with that honeymoon phase where Mike and I were at each other like bunnies. Like, this was...
What do you mean there was only one? Oh, when you're on your period?
Yeah.
That week? Yeah.
Yeah, well, because, I mean, what's the point? It's not...
Increased lubrication.
We enjoyed the sex we were having, but it was with a duty and a purpose at that point.
I think I even remember that, because I think I even remember you being like, I'm ovulating, so I gotta go.
Yeah, and I was like, we're trying, you know? And I had no idea that when I told people that I was trying, I expected myself to be pregnant within 2 months. My sister was fertile as the fucking land that the potatoes grow in PEI. Like, she looks at her husband and she's knocked up. My mother got knocked up so easily, and I was like, yeah,
interesting.
This will be great.
You kind of looked at the women in your family and thought, this happened for them, so this is exactly what's going to happen for me.
And then
it didn't.
We tried hardcore for 9 months with nothing happening. And then I went to the doctor and I said, so we're having a lot of sex and this isn't happening. And I'm just curious if it's because we're just timing it wrong, or if there's maybe something wrong with him.
Right. Or, yeah.
Never thought it was something with me, because I'd gotten pregnant when I was in university.
Right. Was that your first time getting pregnant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if I knew then what I knew now, I wouldn't have wasted so much money on Plan B, but I digress.
So, question. Before you were married,
yeah,
and when, were you using condoms, or were you just on the pill?
We did sorry, Mike. We did a combination of, we did nothing.
Sorry.
Yeah. Like, it was as bare as it can be, and we would have sex, and then when it got close to him being like, hey, I'm getting there, he'd pull out.
So you did the pull and pray.
He'd slap on a condom, and then we would finish.
Interesting. So there was probably pre-cum happening there.
I'm so sorry, Mike. He doesn't dribble before he shoots.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's dry as a desert. So I had no concerns.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but once he went, he went. So anyway,
the dribbles were saving up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe he just has really strong internal muscle control.
It's really interesting how so many guys are different about that. But anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean, I once was with a guy who leaked so much. Like, I was just like, wow, are you pissing yourself? Like, it was, yeah,
that's very true. And you can usually tell during oral, like,
the wet patch during the underwear. I was just like,
all right,
like, okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, like, I went to the doctor, and she was just like, okay, I'll give you a referral to the fertility clinic. And we went to the fertility clinic, and that was probably the most intense 3 months of my life.
Right.
They poked, they prodded, they took so much blood.
So what did that, just a lot of blood tests?
Blood tests and ultrasounds. And I had a history of cysts in my ovaries. So I'd had a surgery when I was in my early 20s before we'd met. And they removed a cyst the size of a grapefruit from one of my ovaries, and they removed one the size of a lemon from my other fallopian tube.
A grape?
A grapefruit, yeah. And it was filled with a liquid. So had it burst, I would have gone into sepsis?
Sepsis?
Yeah, where basically I would have had a blood infection. Oh, man. And it was very dangerous for me to keep this cyst in me, and it just wasn't going away. Right. So they went in surgically. They cut open me at the top of my pubic bone, about 6 inches. So like, you know, I have a scar there. It looks like my vagina is smiling, you know. Anyway, so they removed that. I'd asked the doctor at the time, I said, is this going to affect me for having children in the future? Because at the time I knew I wanted to be a mom. And he's like, no, you should have no problems. He's like, it was a clean surgery. And
which, it's like, I don't like when doctors do that. Because how do they know?
Exactly. And I mean,
they can't guarantee
they didn't go back in after I'd healed to see what happened.
Right.
And apparently I'm an over healer in the sense that I built up a lot of scar tissue after the surgery. So through the fertility clinic, we found out that Mike is perfectly fine. He's as healthy as a horse. Was he
doing like sperm tests?
He did a sperm test. He had to go in a cup and drop it off, you know, within 2 hours of going in the cup. I wasn't even allowed to help. Couldn't, because if my saliva had gotten in it, it would have contaminated the sample. Couldn't even use my hand. He couldn't even use lube.
Really?
Yeah. He's like, it was the driest orgasm of my life.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it was really clinical at the time too. And we were just stressing out because we didn't know what was going on because we've been trying and trying. Yeah. Anyway, and then it came back that I have scar tissue built up from the surgery with my cysts, and I had abnormally small ovaries. Oh. Which gets me to this day because that doctor who removed those cysts, he was up close and personal with my ovaries. You think he would have fucking pointed it out to me at the time so that I would have known and not have been sidelined when the doctor said, you're only ever going to get pregnant if you go through IVF. And then that day, I cried so much I threw up. It was possibly the worst day of my life. And I shit you not, it was December 24th. It was Christmas Eve. And Mike was in shock. He didn't say that you can't have kids. I was like, no, but he said that we need thousands upon thousands of dollars of medical intervention to have a child. And are you willing to try to go into debt hundreds and thousands of dollars just for a 20% chance that it's going to work?
That's the thing about IVF. That's what's crazy about it.
It works, but some people go 4 or 5 rounds. That's $60,000.
I just can't,
I would have, no matter what would have happened, if I had a child through IVF, I would have loved it. But part of me would have resented the fact that they put me in so much debt that their life would have been affected because I wouldn't have been able to give them the life that they deserve because I would be paying off this money for the rest of my life.
It's almost like it's meant for just really, really rich people who have that income consistently.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, there's definitely a financial barrier.
Can just pay for it and do the thing and take the risk because whatever, it's just 20 grand or whatever it is.
I know people who have the money and were able to do IVF and it didn't succeed and they were heartbroken though. So in the same sense, why would I spend this money just to be heartbroken in the end anyway? So then we put it behind us and, we had some really heartfelt conversations where I said, am I enough for you? If you can't have children with me, is me just me? Yeah, but it's a conversation you have to have because some people they don't get married because somebody doesn't want to have kids and somebody does. It is a deal breaker for some people.
It is. I mean,
and for us, we wanted kids.
Yeah,
but suddenly it was suddenly something that we could no longer have.
Right.
And then he said, "You're enough. You are more than enough. I'm happy. We have our dogs." We can be parents to our dogs.
You can be parents to me still.
Yes, I will be your mother for the rest of my life. Sorry, Linda. Anyway, and then, that was fine. I'd given up on the thought. But then...
You did, because there was a time that you were... And I just even remember just as being your friend at that time, the language you were using around the situation was, it's just not going to happen.
It's just not.
Yeah,
and it wasn't.
That's kind of what you
and
were putting out there. Like,
and for some reason, like half of me was like soul crushing. It was heartbreaking. As a woman, I felt like a failure. Like my biological drive was broken.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what that feels like, because so much pressure is put on us as women just because we have these uterus things, like
that we should be using them.
We should be using them, yeah.
Like I don't know if this is a nature versus nurture, but there's a genetic drive at some point that you look at a baby and I swear to God, your ovaries clench and you're like, yep, I want one of these. And even women I know that don't want children, they say, yeah, sometimes like I have these thoughts where I think, yeah, I could do this.
I get it every now and then when I see a baby kitten.
Yeah, like it's just it's in our DNA. Like life is meant to reproduce. The whole purpose of life outside of intelligent life, which is us, is just live, reproduce, die, and the cycle continues.
Or just live and die.
But even not for us, yeah, but for like for other creatures in the world, it's that's live, reproduce. It's just your drive is just to reproduce. And for me, it just felt like, okay, so I can't reproduce now. I am a failure as a human being and as a woman.
But that's really sucky that that's instantly where you went with it, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, that could also just be my personality. But
I think this is something that any woman who's dealt with this probably goes to.
Yeah. And the other half of me was so fucking elated and happy, ecstatic, that I wasn't going to have children. It took the choice out of my hands. I was no longer going to have to devote my life to another person other than my husband. I didn't have to share my love with anybody other than my husband.
Interesting. I never knew you felt that way.
Yeah.
So how have you felt kind of relieved in a way?
Oh, so relieved. So relieved. It was and you know what that came with? A fuck ton of guilt.
Right.
Because I knew I wanted to be a mom, but this new part of me just surfaced when I realized that no, it's not happening. I have my life for myself. I can live my life the way I want for as long as I want. You know, like Mike and I can go on vacations to Europe. We can just decide suddenly, like, if we want to take a weekend and go somewhere, we don't have to worry about babysitters. We don't have to worry about anything like that. Like, yeah, we have a dog. It's a responsibility, but it's not the same as a child.
No.
And I felt so guilty for having these thoughts.
Did you talk about that with Mike? Like those feelings of
well, because I said to him, I was like, I'm happy and I'm heartbroken at the same time. And he was just like, for him, it's different. He always wanted to have kids. He still wants to have kids. I don't think his side of happiness of being independent and being without this responsibility is as strong as mine is. And I feel a little bad about it sometimes, but I'm selfish and I wanted my life for myself.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
I don't feel any embarrassment in saying it.
The fact that you know that is a good thing.
Yeah.
Rather than some people who might feel that way and not say it because they think they have to be a mom or they have to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, no, I understand.
It's just, being a woman is bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even me, like, kind of going through I guess you would say a cancer scare, although it's not really.
It's abnormal cells.
It's a little bit of a concern.
I've had the same
I don't usually have normal PAP test results, and so I have to go through all these things. And it's like, I'm a single woman with no prospects at 30. I'm like, yeah, that's still young, but as a woman, it gets engraved in you at like 17 that like you're a ticking clock, and like you're not always going to have the choice to get pregnant. Yeah. So like, get on that.
Do you know what they call a pregnancy after the age of 34, 36? Geriatric.
I know this from Sandra, because Sandra and Jessie did the podcast, and she is, I think, 35 or 36.
And she
was considered geriatric.
And I'm like, geriatric is my fucking grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm like 4 years short of that. But I don't have like, the thing is like, it's interesting you and I talking about this, because you're coming from the perspective of long-term relationship, long-term marriage, like wanting to create a family, and I'm coming from it of like, I don't even have a partner. So like, in my mind,
if you wanted to do it, you would be a single mom.
I would be a single mom. I would be paying $20,000 for IVF plus, like, I'd have to find a sperm donor.
You wouldn't have to do IVF. You could honestly.
I mean, I don't know.
You could go to the sperm clinic, grab the vial, grab your turkey baster, have some mood lighting, get yourself into it, and you can baste yourself.
Neil's gonna be my turkey baster buddy.
Yeah.
We already decided this.
Exactly.
But like,
there are cheap ways to get into it.
I mean, that's true, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm fertile. I might have the same issues. Like,
no,
that's
and
the
honestly,
thing about it. We don't know our fertility. Like, and that's the thing. Like, you're told you only have so many eggs, right? Yeah. I went off birth control because I was like, I want to see how my body works without being controlled by these pills.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Chemical
when
dependence.
I realized that I was still getting periods, like, around the same time as when I did when I was on the pill, and, like, everything's still going, it was a relief, because I was like, oh, okay, I must be ovulating.
Yeah. But
then I found out, apparently, that really short cycles is a sign that you're actually not ovulating. So I don't fucking know what's going on in there.
If you're not ovulating, it just means you're holding on to your eggs. It doesn't mean that you don't.
Holding on to them.
It doesn't mean that you don't have them.
Right.
Like for me, I have, because of the size of my ovaries, I have a limited number of eggs. I should be on birth control right now because last summer I did get pregnant.
Right. Okay. Should we talk about that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So, and you had texted me this.
Oh,
did you text me or call
I
me?
texted everybody because this was the fucking Hail Mary, Immaculate Conception. Mike and I, our friends were trying to have a baby, and Mike suddenly got really, not nostalgic, but he was like, you know what? The doctor said there was like a 10% chance we could get pregnant naturally. Do you just want to maybe have sex around the time that you might be ovulating just to increase that chance? And I was like, you know what?
Because you were still banging. Just
regular.
Here and there.
Yeah. And honestly, because.
But this was more structured.
Yeah. And because we didn't need. Because I was told that I was never going to get pregnant naturally, the condoms went out the door.
Right.
Like 4 years ago.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck those things. I mean, I love those things. They're great. But I mean, if you're with someone you trust, fuck those things.
No, exactly. And like, you know, like it was just something that it became a part of our lives that we just didn't use protection. And I was like, you know what? Okay, don't get your hopes up, but we'll do it. But, you know, we've been trying for 5 years and we've been unsuccessful. So let's just take it as, you know, let's be realistic about it. Mm-hmm. So we started trying in May around the same time. And then I got my period and I was like, you know, I was disappointed because there's still that small party that just hopes. And then in June we tried again. And then we decided to go to Toronto for our wedding anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
And at the
this
time,
is when it happened.
Yeah,
at the hotel room, right?
Yeah, well, at the Airbnb. At the time, I was getting really thirsty and I was peeing a lot, and I was convinced I had diabetes. Like, I was like, this is it. I've got type 2 diabetes. All of this hard eating, hard drinking, hard lifestyle has caught up with me finally, because I am drinking like 6 liters of water a day. And if anybody knows me, I abhor drinking water. I hate it. I think it's like, I just don't like it. And I was just pissing every hour. And I was like, okay, I have to see the doctor when I get home. I have diabetes. And then I was talking to my mom and she's like, you haven't complained about period cramps in a while. And I was like, hang on. And I went to my phone and I looked
Period
up
tracker.
Period tracker. P tracker. Yeah.
I used this one called Flow.
Yeah, I used P tracker and it was like, your period is 9 days late. And I was like, Mom, my period's late. She's like, yeah, but your period's been late before. Don't get your hopes up, because my mother has been with me through this entire adventure. I was like, we'll go to Toronto. When I come back, if it's still not there, I'll take a pregnancy test and laugh when it comes out negative.
So, okay,
like
I have a question
life.
about this.
What?
You're obviously thinking about this every day, because not one girl who's having unprotected sex who's 9 days late isn't thinking every hour on the hour, like,
no.
am I pregnant?
No, at this point, because I'd had so many disappointments, it literally didn't even cross my mind.
Very true.
And I had been told by medical professionals that the chances of me getting pregnant naturally were slim to none. So I was like, fuck it, whatever. And then we drove to Toronto from Ottawa, which is where we live. And we were like, okay, we'll just stay in the Airbnb. And there was a Harry Potter bar that was close to our Airbnb. And I love Harry Potter. It is my life. Yes. I am a pop culture geek for Harry Potter. Like, I have tattoos and everything. Yeah. Anyway, I was like, we're going to Harry Potter bar and we're getting drunk on butterbeer. And he's like, you haven't had your period in nearly a week and a half. I would be more comfortable if you took a pregnancy test to check first before you decide to get drunk. I was like, psh, fuck, whatever. So we went to Dollarama and bought the cheap dollar pregnancy test.
Yeah.
I shit you not.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, well, it's better to take it in the morning. I'll take it tomorrow morning, whatever. So we get in the hotel room or the Airbnb and we're chilling out and we're just relaxing. And then we go to bed. And because at the time, Mike snored horrendously, he slept in another room. I love my husband, but for the sanity of myself, I need him to sleep in another room when he snores. He has since fixed that. He doesn't snore anymore, and we are back in one room. But at the time, we slept in separate rooms. So he had one room of the Airbnb. I had the other. I woke up 1:30 in the morning, and I had to piss again. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, diabetes. I have diabetes. And I walked by, and on the counter was this pregnancy test ready for me to take the next morning. And I was like,
might as well take it now.
I'm going to take this shit now. I'm up.
This was late because did you text me when this happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was late at night. 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I took it, and Mike gets up because he's got to pee. And I'm sitting on the toilet looking at this pregnancy test, and it's positive.
Oh, my God.
And I look up at him, I'm like, I'm pregnant. And he goes, he's asleep. He's like, what? I was like, I'm fucking pregnant. He's like, I'm sorry, what? And I said it 3 times, and then he goes, okay, but I really got to pee.
Oh, my God.
I was like, oh, okay. So I get up. I'm standing in the kitchen of the Airbnb holding this pissy pregnancy stick. And I'm like, so this is what this feels like. Okay. And like my life is flashing before my eyes. And it's like, okay, goodbye independence. Goodbye, no responsibility. This is now my life. Told everybody.
Yeah.
Because I was told that it was never going to happen. So of course I told everybody.
So this is what I always wonder when people get pregnant.
What?
I'm always very curious about the whole who you tell right away, because obviously there's a time frame that you like keep it off social media and you don't tell the general public until you're like 3 months along or whatever it is.
I told my 5 best friends,
and you told your family,
and I told my mother and my father. I
Yeah.
called my father at 2:30 in the morning. He's like, are you in an accident? Are you at the hospital? Are you dead? I said, no, I'm pregnant. He said, what the fuck?
Yeah, because there's no way I could keep that in either. I
No.
would be telling,
And then Dad was like, I was like, go wake up Mom. He's like, no. And I was like, what do you mean no? He's like, let her sleep. She won't sleep for the rest of the night if she finds out you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine. So then at 6:30 the next morning, I called my mother and I told her. Anyway, so yeah, I told everybody. I sent a picture of my fucking positive pregnancy test to you, to Dee, to Mel, to Lindsay, to Laura, all my friends.
I freaked the fuck out.
I freaked the fuck out. And then...
But you were like, this is it. I'm going back to bed now. Bye. And I was just like, what? What?
I know. It was like, okay, look, my uterus works. Yay. Proof that I am no longer a failure as a woman.
But I think you did put a disclaimer on your text message.
Everyone.
Like,
it's super early. I'm not getting my hopes up. But I had already got my hopes up. Of
course you do.
The minute I saw 2 lines, my hopes were already up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was picturing cribs and restless nights and breastfeeding. I was picturing it all. And then I was pregnant for about 6 weeks. And then suddenly one night I started to bleed. And it was heartbreaking. And Mike and I just cried for...
So that was...
And I mean, spotting is normal, but this was pouring out of me. Sorry if this is like gets into the
I was just going to
too.
ask like what it actually is like
a heavy period when you sneeze and you get that kind of rushing, flowing feeling. Mm-hmm. It's like that, but nonstop. And then I remember calling my sister because she was the only person I could think of that I would want to talk about it with. And she was on the phone with me and I was crying and I was like, it's just coming out of me. I don't understand. And she's like, go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital and they gave me a referral to a women's clinic. And the next day we got an ultrasound and the baby was still alive. And I was like, what the fuck? And for 3 weeks, that little fucker held on. And I honestly... I wish it had just been done and over with that night, because for me to think for 3 weeks, will it or won't it? Will it or won't it? And then suddenly we had to go get ultrasounds every single week at that point because I was on a high risk because of the bleeding. And I remember my little niece was visiting from Nova Scotia up to Ontario. She was 9 years old. She could travel by herself, and our father put her on a plane, and I was taking care of her. And it was her and me, and my dad had come up to visit. And I remember walking through this museum in Ottawa because she really wanted to see the airplanes. And I could just feel it starting to pour out of me. And then, like, it just wasn't stopping. I spent the entire day in the bathroom at a museum somewhere in the city of Ottawa, miscarrying.
Oh my God.
And then the next day we had that appointment, and there was no more baby. I'd lost it. And then they gave me pills to help it go through. They gave me some narcs, which helped with the whole emotional aspect. I won't lie. I took those even though I wasn't in pain, just so that I could get high and not deal with it.
Oh man.
I know.
Fuck.
And then, you know, Mike and I kind of just held each other and whatever. But in the same sense, I got pregnant naturally.
You did. Yeah.
I know I can do it.
That's very true.
So it doesn't take away from, like, I don't feel like this was a horrendous experience that means that I'll never get pregnant ever again. I got pregnant. It's a step further than I've ever been.
It's some hope.
Yeah. So right now I am in the process of getting surgery for my bad back, and I'm not allowed to get pregnant. So I have to wait 2 years before Mike and I can try again. And we're going to try again after that. Because
you're working on your health and getting yourself healthy.
Yeah. And I feel like if I was a healthier person, I might have had a more successful pregnancy. And right now I'm working on getting me in tip-top shape. And when I am, Mike and I will try again. And you know what? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But now, because I got pregnant that one time, I'm okay with the idea of adopting. And if by the time we're 40, we don't get pregnant naturally and I don't have a child of my own, we're going to go and we're going to adopt.
Good for you.
I'm going to be an old mother, but I don't care. So.
And was IVF ever an option in your mind?
No.
Yeah.
Never.
Too much money.
Too expensive. If somebody wanted to pay for it, I'd be like, hey.
Yeah.
You know?
But adopting's also pretty pricey.
Yeah, because I don't want to adopt publicly because unfortunately the children in the public adoption, they have a lot of issues that I'm selfishly aware enough that I don't want to deal with. Fetal alcohol syndrome, abandonment issues, drug dependencies. Like a lot of these children are older. I want a baby from some 16-year-old unwed mother. I'm sorry.
Heather has often said that if I ever get knocked up,
I would take your baby.
I better be keeping it and giving it to her.
Oh yeah, if you don't want to raise your own child, I will take your baby happily.
Which is weird because I think I have both I oddly enough don't think I would abort at this point, which is crazy because I really don't want a kid at this point because I'm barely taking care of myself in terms of money.
But adoption is also
But there comes a time in your life, I think, when you're at a certain age, and especially me knowing your story, and all these women who have been trying so hard to get pregnant and it's not working. In my mind, I'm like, if I ever got pregnant, I would just have the thought in my mind of like, maybe this is my time, or maybe this is it for me. Because
you know what?
Guess what? Girl's single. Girl does not have I don't have a long-term
There are
boyfriend.
women who are single mothers and they're doing amazing jobs. I'm not naming names, but one of my friends is a single mom and it is hard. But you know what? She's making it work, and that little child of hers is going to be amazing. He is going to be well-rounded, and he is going to know that he is loved by not only his mother, but by everyone in his life.
Right. And I totally respect that, and I totally believe in that. But for me, it's just like, well, you know, I get to a point in my monthly paycheck where I have $6 in my bank account. And so how the heck would I want
obviously it's not a time for you. You gotta you gotta get shit together in your life before you try to decide that you're gonna do that. Like when Mike and like when Mike and I decided that we were gonna start trying, we were financially secure.
Yeah.
You know, like it was things were like, we don't own our house, which I wish we did, but in Ottawa, real estate is ridiculous. Yeah. So we didn't own a house, but I knew that we had shelter, we had money, we were able to provide. Yeah. I work for the federal government. I was going to get a year off mat leave anyway. So
it's an ideal situation. And that's the thing. Like,
But like for you, yeah, like
but that's why when I think about it, I'm like, if I were to get pregnant accidentally, there's no way I would be trying at this point. But if it were to happen accidentally, it would be very hard for me not to keep that baby.
No, exactly.
Because I am 30.
However, if there was that opportunity that you just didn't want it, I'd totally take it.
And the thing is, too, is like, I've made jokes to people being like, I'll be a surrogate. I've made those jokes. And in a way, I'm just like, it's the best gift you can give someone. It is literally the most selfless, best thing you could do for someone's life.
My sister offered to be a surrogate for me and my husband. But it goes back to the IVF costs where it's just too high of a risk. And I'm a chicken shit. I don't want to take the risk.
So here's another question.
Yeah.
And this is maybe something, and I really do want this to be an honest, frank conversation.
This hasn't been honest and frank enough as it is.
But we're about to get even more honest and frank. But
okay.
I do think that there's probably people listening that are going through this, and this is something that, so I have two questions for you. One is what does it feel like to be someone who's going through this and then seeing people around you have babies, get pregnant, have pregnancies, people close to you that you love, like people who you're genuinely happy for these people.
Oh, I'm genuinely happy for the people in my life that get pregnant, but I fucking hate them in the same very breath. Mm-hmm. I love them with all of my heart and soul, but I am so jealous that it eats me up inside. And one of my closest friends is pregnant. Yeah. And it got to a point where I had to text her and I said, you know what? I need a few days away from this because it's just hitting too close to home for me right now. Mm-hmm. Because I would be 7 months pregnant right now and we would be experiencing this together. And for the fact that we have been friends since we were 9 years old.
A long time.
You know, like for us to, the idea that I could have been experiencing this with her side by side. Never thought of that. You know, and that it abruptly got taken away from me. The fact that she's now experiencing it, like I couldn't deal with it. I had a little bit of a psychotic break a couple of months ago. Like I cried. I was like, I'm alone. I am absolutely alone. Every single person that I love is either pregnant or has children. Mm-hmm. And I said, except for Sarah, but she doesn't count because she's Sarah and she's separate from...
I'm pointing at myself right now because this came out of a conversation that you and I had over text because we started catching up. Yeah. And you let it all out and you were just like, I can't talk about this with anyone else because everyone else has a baby or they're like having a baby.
Or they've had a baby.
Like there's some baby in their life and it's just like with me, it's like there's no babies. Fucking talk to me.
But
talk to
in
me,
the same sense, you're not in the same situation as me where you're single.
Yeah.
You're not trying.
I'm not trying, yeah.
Like I am married in a long-term relationship with my husband and, you know, it's something that we wanted to do and we should be on the same path as all of my other friends. But I feel like I'm at this crossroads where I can't cross the street, but you're parallel to me. You're on another road completely. Like your life is completely different from mine right now.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take away from anything, but it's just we just don't have that similar connection. You know.
We don't. But I can totally understand
I
can totally understand the resentment.
Yeah.
Or the
jealousy.
Because I feel that way a lot about when I see people get into relationships.
Yeah, no, and I understand that.
Because that's something that
you want to have.
I really, really want and I think I deserve, and yet it's not happening.
Exactly. Just change that to a baby, and that's exactly how I feel.
It's the same kind of thing. It's kind of like, what am I doing wrong that's preventing me from getting this life?
But then I feel horrendously guilty because
you don't.
They never did anything wrong. They've done nothing wrong.
This is misplaced jealousy.
I feel this jealousy towards these people who have not done anything to me except live their life the way that they wanted to. And just because they had the luck of having, you know, a working uterus that I don't have, that they get this gift and I don't get it. And it's just, so I feel this resentment and then I immediately afterwards feel this immense sense of guilt.
Yeah. It's such a vicious fucking cycle.
And then it just keeps going and going and turning. So it came to the point where I was like, I need a few days away from you to deal with this.
What was her response to that?
Oh, she said, okay, I love you. Yeah. Text me when you're better.
Because here's the thing. Like, if you're really close with someone.
Yeah.
And if you know their struggles and if you know fuck, I'm not going to hold myself back from getting this because I also want it. So I'm, you know, if I get pregnant, I get pregnant. But like, I can't imagine too, like telling a friend who's been through multiple miscarriages and infertility, like, I'm pregnant, because a part of you is like, I want to be happy with my best friend. I want to gush over this, and I want to have this moment with my best friend.
She told me, she told me the day it happened, and I cried happy tears. I was so happy for her.
Exactly.
You know, my first reaction wasn't immediate resentment and or jealousy. It was like absolute joy.
You experienced that behind closed doors.
Yeah,
because that's a mechanism.
I don't need to let her know that kind of stuff. And for me, it was more so, I just need to deal with my own shit. And then it kind of hit me in the face when I realized, because I was at her house and I saw her sonograms on her fridge, and I was like, I didn't realize that you had sonograms. And she's like, I didn't want to show them to you because I knew that you were having a hard time.
So there you go.
And I said,
there's the empathy there.
And I said, no, I want to see these, because you know what? I'm going to love this child as if it was my own. Mm-hmm. And it kind of smacked me in the face that, no, I'm dealing with this shit, but I'm going to deal with it as best as I can. But I'm going to be there for her and her child. And I'm going to do as much as I can to just, like, I've kind of got to compartmentalize. Mm-hmm. And it sucks. But I feel like every woman who's going through what I'm going through has to compartmentalize, because you're never going to be away from a part of your life that's going to have children in it. Like, if your family has nieces, nephews, your friends are going to have babies, you know, unless you have somebody who's also going through the exact same thing as you have to be able to just close that part off of you and just be able to be with these people who are having babies and just be there in the present. And then kind of just, you know, when you're by yourself or with your husband, and just deal with that heartbreak on your own. Because that heartbreak and like those feelings you experience are fucking real. And this is something probably a lot of women go through. And my next question, like, is just like, why do you think women aren't more open about stuff like this? Because this is real shit. Like, this is the realness of the situation. I feel it goes back to the whole point of feeling like a failure as a woman. Like, and also society. Yeah. It's not something that's talked about. And maybe it's gotten a little bit better in the last couple of years, but it's not something that you talk about, because to talk about it means to admit that you are failing as a woman, quote unquote. Like, personally, I can't speak for anybody else, but personally, I feel like my status as a woman was diminished by the fact that I am unable to carry a child to term. Yeah. And I just feel like maybe that could be part of it. Other women just might feel like it's a private thing. It is extremely private, yeah. I am a very open individual. I will talk about anything to anyone. I don't hold back. That's why she's on the show. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is why I'm talking about this. Yeah. But some women, it's a very personal, private thing to deal with. You have to... Essentially, you are losing even if you miscarry, you are losing a child that, you know, could have. But remember too, like, when did you reach the point where and maybe you haven't reached it yet, who knows, but like, did you ever reach a point where you were like, okay, this isn't me, this is a body thing, this is a physical thing happening, and this is not your soul or you doing this. This is not your fault. I haven't gotten to that point yet. You haven't gotten, so no. There you go. Honestly, that's like, I'm having a little bit of an epiphany right now by you saying that. It's not you. Your soul is a mother. Yeah. And I'm probably, you know, like, honestly, you are a mother in your soul. Like, this is deep as shit, but like, but you are. Yeah. And whether that is coming out in your life in the form of your own child or other people's children, or caring for people around you, like, you have that. I'm nurturing, and you're going to do it no matter what the situation is. Yeah. So I think it's like, you have to really fucking dive deep when you go through something like this to realize, like, this is not my fault. This is, like, your uterus. You can't help your uterus. It's not like we have something in us being like, oh, there's scarring on here, you better get it checked out. Like there's nothing telling you. We can't have doctor's appointments every day. Do you know what I mean? No, I know. You honestly, can only do so much for what you know about your own body. Yeah. So honestly, I haven't gotten to that point in my life where I can accept that yet.
But you're getting there.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
I do think you're getting there.
Like, I'm more open about talking about adoption with Mike. I'm more open about talking about the fact that, yeah, we might get pregnant when I'm done with all of my taking care of myself and getting my surgery and the recovery that I'm going to have. Mm-hmm. I might get pregnant on my own. I might carry it to term. I might not. Having gone through it already, and this, I feel, is not this what other women experience. I feel like having gone through it already, I can deal with it if it happens again a little bit better.
There you go.
I've experienced
you must have just going through all of it.
I've experienced it once. I can imagine that if I go through it a second time, it won't be as jarring. It won't be as shocking. And I think I've mentally prepared myself that if it happens again, yeah, I think I'll be okay. And if it does happen again, I'll deal with it when it comes. But like, 5 years ago when I was told by a doctor in a very sterile office that my chances of getting pregnant were 10%, I kind of want to go and be like, fuck you.
Fuck you, I did it.
It's like, fuck you.
I at least got there.
Yeah, I got there, and I didn't get all the way, but I got there.
But you got pretty far.
Yeah, far enough. Enough that I really don't like pregnancy symptoms.
So, what kind of symptoms did you experience? So this was 6 weeks, right?
No, I lost it at 9.
9? Oh, it was longer than I thought.
Yeah.
So that's
I was 3 weeks away from
less than 3 months, but
2.5 months.
Right.
Yeah. So the peeing and the drinking was the worst. I was like constantly
drinking water.
Double. I was yeah.
We should clarify.
It was a drinking podcast. Yeah, drinking water. I was double fisting. I had a glass of ice and I had a liter bottle of water, and I was just constantly filling it up. And it felt like there was a balloon in my body. It was really weird, you know?
Yeah.
And it felt like it felt like my uterus was rebelling against me, you know, like.
I feel that way, and I'm not even.
And it was cramping. Like, I had a lot of cramps too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, it was weird.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've had a couple pregnant women on, and I always ask them, I'm like, what the fuck does it feel like? Like, I just want to know what it feels like.
Like, my boobs felt like a kangaroo had just kicked the shit out of them.
Tender AF.
Oh, man. Like, and honestly, the day that I knew that I was no longer pregnant was the day I woke up and my boobs didn't hurt. So, like, for me, that was like the biggest symptom was like, my boobs hurt. What the hell?
It's just crazy what like the hormones can do.
Yeah.
And like even just the smallest little things.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And like there were certain foods that turned me off. I couldn't drink coffee.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Like aversions to food.
Yeah, I couldn't drink coffee. And that was heartbreaking because I love coffee. Yes, as we know.
We met over coffee.
Yep. And
I made her one just before the show.
My favorite meal is Greek Slovakia. Chicken Slovakia. In a pita.
Yep.
Like a pita, chicken Slovakia pita. And I get it every time I go anywhere where there's a Greek restaurant. I went out with my friend and I ordered this Greek pita. And I was sitting there and I was so excited to eat it. And I took the first bite. It tasted like fucking sawdust.
That's so heartbreaking.
And I was just like,
when it's like your favorite food.
I know. And my friend looked at me and she was like, it looks like this pita has personally offended you. What's going on? I was like, it doesn't taste like delicious happiness anymore.
Delicious garlicky
like lemon, oregano wonderfulness. And she was like, she lost her shit. She just laughed at me. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, this is my go-to meal and I can't eat this right now? What the fuck am I going to do?
Another question for you before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up. But what I always think about when I hear about people going through this, you must get a lot of standard responses or things people say to be nice.
Yeah.
Which is like probably one of the top ones will be, well, why don't you just adopt?
Yep.
And I think not a lot of women talk about the fact that, and I've talked about this with some of my single girlfriends, like us just kind of talking about motherhood and like the idea of it. And it's like, not everyone really wants to do that.
No, and I didn't for a really long time.
It's almost like people make you feel obligated to do it just because it's an option.
Yep, I agree. And honestly, for a really long time, I felt if I cannot have a biological child that is half me and half Mike, I don't want anything, because I felt like I couldn't love it. I wouldn't be able to love it. But it took my best friend having a baby and me holding him in my arms and me saying that I love this child more than I love myself to realize that I could love a child that's not mine.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful, Heather.
Yeah.
By the way, it wasn't me who had the baby.
No. It was my girlfriend back home. She had a gorgeous little baby boy.
But that's the thing, and that's why I said, like, you are a mom. Like, because you're a nurturer to all these babies.
I honestly, like, I always said to Mike and to my girlfriends, if fate has it that I will never be a mother to a child of my own, I will be the best goddamn aunt that every child in my life has ever seen.
Godmother and like honorary aunt.
Yeah, exactly.
Like hell yeah.
So
hell yeah, you're gonna be.
I mean, I don't have a lack of children in my life, and I'm okay with that.
And it's probably both a challenge and a blessing in a way to have all these, like, it's a challenge in that you're dealing with the fact that they're having babies and you're not.
Yeah.
But it's a blessing in a way because
I love all of them.
You're filling that.
Yeah, that void. But I love every single one of them.
Yeah, hell yeah, you do.
Like some of them I don't know well, but I still love them.
Of course.
You know, and some
you love kids. You like kids.
Yeah, my ovaries clench every time I see a child.
So this is the opposite of my friend Mark, who made the choice to have a vasectomy and chose to go child-free by choice.
Oh, and you know what? I respect that 100%.
Yeah.
Like, women who are in their 20s and want to have a hysterectomy or have their tubes tied, more fucking power to them.
It's what it is. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's, being a woman is a crazy journey, but like,
yep,
we can't let the anatomy define us. Like,
no,
that's
and I
just
know,
kind of
honestly,
what it comes down to. And it's just like, and I think about it too, and I'm like, I'm not someone who particularly wants kids. I'm not good with them. God, am I not good with them.
I remember when I had Rebecca when she was a baby, I was literally throwing her in the air and you were so afraid.
I never grew up around kids. I was never a babysitter. I never
I know. And like I was moving her into these pretzel moves because infants are very flexible. So flexible. You could put their legs up behind their heads and they would giggle. And I remember
that's the thing. I don't realize that.
Yeah, and I was putting Rebecca in these contortionist moves and you were like, you are going to break her spine. I was like, nah, it's fine.
I recently held my friend Jesse's baby, like, for more than 5 minutes because he's like bigger now and older and like
they're a little bit more durable.
It doesn't make me as nervous, and I was like, oh, this is nice. And you know, I'm going through this kind of time of like, oh, girl, you were late 1 year on your pap test and now you might have cervical cancer. And in my mind, I'm like, I know this was never I kind of made a decision recently where it's like, I need to just accept that it just might not be my path to do that. And it doesn't necessarily make me that mad because I just never knew if I wanted kids at all. And so I'm not that heartbroken about it, but like the idea of, if I did have like cancer or something that was like, you can't have kids or like,
because they have to remove your,
like, that would still be incredibly heartbreaking to me because it's just like,
well, now
I want to have that option.
Yeah,
you know?
The chance is just completely removed from the equation.
Because in my mind, I see myself having one kid.
I can see you being a mom.
To one.
She's
smirking big time when she says this.
I can also see you calling me every night being like, what do I do?
If I'm a mom, I don't know if I can have a drunk podcast still.
I feel like you could still have a podcast. It just couldn't be a drunk podcast. So then you just have to remarket yourself.
A podcast about parenthood.
No, don't do a mommy blog. I'll fucking leave you.
I'll fucking leave you, she says.
I will. No mommy blogs. I hate mommy blogs.
Oh, man.
Oh God! Everybody on their high fucking horse about organic and just like cotton and fuck Jesus no.
I've been learning so like, and I'm like you, like I have a lot of friends having kids, and I'm both fascinated by it and terrified by it. Like it's just
and everybody has their own opinion about how they're going to raise their child, and it's just you have to keep your mouth shut, even though you want to say you are being so fucking dumb right now, but.
It's so true. But I love, and like, I just want to say too, like, this takes a fucking lot of courage and a lot of guts to come on and talk about something like this. I've done a lot of like really harder episodes. Like the S2 episode was a really hard episode, and like this is one of the harder ones. And thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming on and talking about this, because I think you were a little nervous about doing it.
Sweetheart, I avoided this for a year. You started asking me a year ago.
Doesn't it feel good to get it out, though?
It does, but honestly, you started asking me before I had the pregnancy and the miscarriage, and I think it took that for me to just be able to be comfortable in my own skin and just to be like, you know, this is who I am. This is what's going on in my life. I don't feel like I have to hide it from anybody.
There you go. Yes, thank you. And I mean, like, people could be listening to this and going through the same thing and not feel as alone in it because of you talking about it. Well, so that's pretty cool.
I honestly, I did take advantage of therapy when it happened.
That's huge. That's such a good thing for anyone to do.
Yeah, and I took advantage of, there was a women's support group for women with infertility through the fertility clinic, and I did go to a few sessions of that, and I found that it did help. But mostly a lot of it was just me doing a lot of interpersonal thought and
looking into yourself and just being like, you know, this isn't my,
like,
you're still working, and you admit it, like, you're still working on it.
I'm still working on a lot of stuff.
It's not there yet, and it's an ongoing process, and you're going to be working on that all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like, honestly, adulting is hard.
Adulting is fucking hard.
Trying to have babies into this whole equation is even harder, and I think I'm doing pretty good, so.
You're doing great, and you're one of the strongest women I know, and one of my best friends. And
okay, shut up now.
Okay, so I told Heather a while ago that we need to do a sadness sandwich, so we have to end on a light note to leave it light and funny. Do you have any funny stories, or do you have any funny memories of our friendship that you think is like sticks out to you?
Honestly, the best memory I ever had was your 20th birthday.
Let's talk about it. Let's end on the 20th birthday, shall we?
This is when one of your friends decided to create some sort of, what's the word, where they do it every year? It was like...
Birthday?
No, not your birthday. Oh,
I know what you mean. Tradition.
Yes, that's the word. Fucking English. I'm good at English. So your friend decided that it would be a tradition that he needed to fuck one of your friends on your birthday. And
Does he care? It's Kurt.
And I was, except for your friend from Manny Ganesh, I don't know if we can name names.
Oh yes,
no. Anyway, except for that first person, I was the inaugural like birthday lay.
You were,
yeah. That was awesome. I mean, that's not the best part of the memory, though. Funny enough.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, well, Heather went home with this friend, and I remember being so drunk. We went to the Dome. There were, like, really cheap drinks.
It was dollar drinks.
Like, $1.
I questioned their business, like, mind frame that they could make any profit on selling university students dollar drinks.
And I remember seeing you guys dancing at the bar throughout the night. And
it wasn't even dancing. We were just...
Motherfucker, she's gonna get laid on my birthday, and I'm not. God fucking damn it.
You were so mad. You were so mad.
Most of my life is
he was too charming. I couldn't resist.
And I remember being at the place where I was crashing. I was crashing at another friend's place. And
I was just like,
see you later, Sarah. And I was like, Heather, what are you doing?
I was like, not going home with you, bitch. See you later.
And... you went and had your fun, and I crashed, and I puked a lot that night.
And then the next morning, he was a gentleman, complete gentleman, walked me back to wherever you were the next morning so that we could go back to the Mount together.
Go fuck yourself.
And no, I fucked somebody else that night, thank you. Anyway, so then we went back to wherever you were staying.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at you, and you looked...
because you came in, and I was like, okay, I gotta get my stuff together.
And you were just like, the fucking cat dragged you in from the garbage bin. And I just remember you were like, okay, I just let me get ready and we'll be good to go. And I was like, okay. And I think you wanted to close the door to the bathroom, but instead you just took your shirt off and you like flashed your titties at me. And honestly, we weren't friends enough at that point that we could just titty flash comfortably.
Like, and I just remember being like, whoa, Sarah's boobs. And I was like, Sarah! And you're like, ah! And you just slammed the door in my face. And I was like, wow.
You must have did the Heather Slow blink. Do the Heather Slow blink.
What's the Heather Slow blink?
Just do it right now. Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Oh, you mean the I'm really confused?
No, just the what the fuck did I just see? Yeah, you do that a lot with me.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, so then I just remember being like, okay, Sarah's boobs. And I mean, that was the first time of many that I've seen your chest.
What did you think?
Oh, they're great. I love them.
Yeah.
I wish I had them. If I was going to get a boob job, I'd drag you with me to the doctor and be like, give me these breasts.
I do feel I lost some of them when I went off the pill.
Yeah, that happens to everybody, though.
But, like, you know, I might go back on the pill just to get them back.
Honestly, if I take my bra off, my nipples point to the ground. So there are worse things that could happen, sweetheart. TMI, sorry.
Anyways, 20th birthday, it's an iconic night. It really truly is an iconic night because I think that was when all of us kind of cemented a friendship.
Well, honestly, sleeping with him cemented my friendship. We're still friends now. I'm going to his apartment tonight to crash.
Right after this.
Yeah, and I'm going to crash and I'm going to make him sleep on his fucking floor and I'm going to take his bed and kick him out.
And I just want to say, last weekend, Kurt gave me permission to use his name in this. So, Kurt, it's Kurt. It was Kurt. It was Kurt.
He was a very good lay. So, I mean, Mike is obviously better, but Kurt was a great lay.
Oh, this is just... Oh, it's too good. It's too good.
I mean, honestly, our 20s were great.
Our 20s were great. I mean, I would say 26 to 30 was hell.
Yeah, but I wasn't there for that.
But it's true you weren't.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it was hell.
I know, you just need me in your life, Sarah.
Anyways, we're going to wrap it up and say goodbye. But thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
This was fun and sad and emotional and
honest.
This was everything.
This is just honest.
This was very honest. And thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. And I will end how I always do, which is ring that bell.
Jesus Christ, Sarah.